Welcome to the tutorial for the labor pricing for profit software, New Company Setup Wizard. The New Company Setup Wizard will typically be used just as you're starting the software. You'll use this wizard to help you really set up your company's shell. And in this shell, we're going to define all of the areas that really apply to all areas of your company. Things like your company name and address, taxes that apply to all areas of the company, various departments that you have in your company. We're actually going to create those using the New Company Setup Wizard. It makes the process very, very easy. So let's get started. To start and run the New Company Setup Wizard, we're going to go under the Setup toolbar in the toolbar on the left-hand side, and we're going to click on New Company Setup Wizard. Now, when we do that, the wizard itself will run, and you can see that the wizard consists of 3 steps. First, defining our company information. Then we're going to add departments to our company, and then we're going to really add our model year, because the software can track multiple years within our company itself. So we'll start out here in the New Company Setup information. We're actually going to enter in our company name, and our address, and city, state, and zip. Okay, and when we hit tab, we're going to first go into the default employer tax section. Now, there's several different types of taxes that you as an employer are going to pay on a regular basis, and so we're going to set these in our company shell. So regardless of what area of our company we're working with, it's going to apply those taxes properly. The first of those is Social Security, your FICA. You as an employer pay 6.2% of all wages that you pay to all employees. That's your matching portion of the taxes, and you're going to pay that on the first $106,800 that you pay each and every employee within your company. Now, that maximum limit changes from on a year-to-year basis. So each year you may have to come back in and change this limit as the government changes that maximum limit. But at this point in time, the rate itself is 6.2%, and the limit is $106,800. So those are already defaulted in the software. Medicare is another matching tax that you pay. You pay 1.45% of all wages that you pay to all employees without any maximum limit. So that's already set as a default in the software. The next section is the federal unemployment tax. The federal unemployment tax is an unemployment tax that you pay to the federal government. And here again, it's fixed for all companies. You pay 0.8% of all wages, of the first $7,000 of all wages paid to any employee. So again, our rate is 0.8%, and the limit is $7,000. Now, the state unemployment tax is a little bit different because that varies from company to company and state by state. The rate itself will vary from company to company. Every company will be a little bit different. So in my case, my rate is 3.0% of all wages that I pay. The limit varies from state to state, so everybody within a given state will be at the same maximum limit. In my particular state, the limit that I'm working with is $12,000. You'll set this for whatever the maximum is for your state unemployment tax. Once that's set, if we hit our tab key one more time, we move over into the other tax section. Now, the other tax section is primarily for Canadian or other countries' use. Other countries will actually set the default employer taxes to 0 and insert your country's tax and ascriptions and their limits under the other tax section. This will not be used in the United States, will only be used in other countries. Once we've entered all the information on the New Company Setup screen, now we can click on Next Step, and we can create the departments for our company. Now, this is a very simple process. We'll actually create one department for each area within our company. Now, typically a department is going to be defined as an area or a type of work that we do within our company that meets 2 criteria. Number 1, it has its own hourly rate, and number 2, it makes up at least 5% of your overall income. So we'll start it out in our company. We have a service department. I'm going to enter that in. Calculation method. How should the software handle calculating the reports that it's going to generate once you enter all of your costs in? There's 4 primary methods of calculation that we can set this to. The first one is a return on income. Now, return on income simply says I'm going to tell the software what kind of net profit I would like to see at the end of the year. The software in turn will tell me what I need to charge per hour in this department to hit that rate of return. The next one is an hourly rate. So that would mean I'm going to tell the software that I charge $75 per hour, let's say. The software in turn will come back and tell me what kind of return rate of income that is. In other words, what kind of net profit before taxes am I going to earn if I charge that hourly rate, and if my individual departments are making money or losing money and how much. The third one is desired profit. Now, desired profit simply gives us the ability to say, in this department, at the end of the year, I want to have $50,000 in net profit. 50,000 actual dollars is what I want to end up with. The software in turn will tell me what my hourly rate needs to be to accomplish that, and what the rate of return, what my net profit will be before taxes based on obtaining that fixed desired profit. The last and the fourth section that's here is retail only. Retail only would apply only to a retail area of your company. In other words, you don't have any labor to sell. Your customers come into your door. They're simply going to buy parts over the counter and take them out. You're not going to install them. The customers are simply buying the materials themselves. Now, if you have a true retail store, that's where you would use retail only. It gives you the ability to apply costs and apply overhead to that area of the store where you're not going to be charging out any labor. If you just occasionally, you really don't have a retail store, but you have that occasional customer that comes in, wants to buy an air filter, wants to buy a replacement switch plate or something like that, that's not a retail store. Just add those materials into one of the other departments of your company. Because again, remember, a department of itself has to make up at least 5% of your overall net revenue for the company. So in our service department, we're going to set this one to a return on income. And I want to hit a 20% net profit in my service department before taxes. So I'm going to enter in 20% and click on accept. Now at this point you can see that we've now created our first department. It's our service department. We have it set for a return on income of 20%. And the retail only section is not checked, which tells me it's not a retail department. Now from this point I have three options. I can click on new department to set up another department. I can click on modify department if I want to just make changes to the department that I've already created, or I can delete a department by clicking that icon. I'm going to go ahead and set up another department, so I'll click on new department, and this is going to be my installation department. And in this department I'm going to tell it I have a calculation method of an hourly rate, and I am charging $75 per hour in this department. So I can click on that one, and I'll set up a third department, which is going to be my retail store. Okay, in that particular case I want to check this box at the top that it's a retail only department, and at that point the calculation method is going to become unavailable, because again, that's helping me determine what my hourly rate needs to be, and in a retail store we don't have an hourly rate. So I'm going to accept that department. Once I've created all of my departments, and again you can have as many as you want within your company, we can go ahead and click on next step one more time. And now we're going to get into creating or finishing up our model and setting up our model year. So in my particular case, the model, the name is Standard Business Cycle, and I'm just going to leave it at that name. That's fine. My calculation year is 2010. That's the year that I'm calculating for. And the third box here is the work week ends on what day. In my particular company, my work week ends on Saturday. And this is used within the software to calculate which months are 4-week payroll months, which ones are 5-week payroll months, so we can start to project your cash flow far more accurately throughout the year. In the bottom section, we've got our departments listed. In my case, I created 3 departments, and we're showing that all 3 of those are indeed active. By default, the software is going to set any department that you've created using the wizard as active. This gives you the ability later on to come back here and say, okay, what if we eliminate this department? What's going to happen to our cash flow? What's going to happen to our profitability? And we'll get into that process a little bit later in this tutorial. For now, we've got that completed, so we can now click on Finish. at which time the software is going to actually create our model. And we can see at the top on our top title bar that we're now set as, we've got our company name, Smith Heating and Cooling, and our company title. This particular model was the standard business model for 2010. This concludes the new company setup wizard for the labor pricing for a profit software. Thank you.